What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 19 of Breaking Bats, presented by Not For Long Media. I'm your host, Brian O'Grady. With me, as always, my co-host, Justin Ayers. J.A., what's going on, dude? How you doing?
I'm great, man. Horrifically sunburned. I went to the Nationals-Phillies game for Father's Day weekend. Didn't even think about putting sunblock on. I have like a sunglasses tan now. I don't know if you could see that. Just embarrassing. So, and the Nationals lost in extra innings. So it was a double whammy and my face hurts. So the vibes aren't great.
You know, sunblock is very important. I always go back to, there's a tweet from Chaps from Barstool, where he said something about sunscreen, and someone else tweeted back at him, like calling him a pussy for using sunscreen. And he quote tweeted it and said, "Imagine thinking you're tougher than the sun, the fucking sun." And it's like one of the most liked tweets of all time, I'm pretty sure. And that's hysterical. So that's what I always think about when I don't put sunscreen on anymore, thinking that I'm tougher than the sun.
Such a great callback. Yeah, that's one of the most iconic tweets. As soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Thought about it. Not tougher than the sun.
Yep. Nobody is. That thing's pretty tough. Anyway, what do we got going on today?
Well, we're going to start it out, as always, with a little bit of MLB news. So, not great news for Padres fans. During Sunday's Padres and Rockies game, third baseman Manny Machado, he suffered a sprained ankle when he kind of stepped on first base awkwardly. The slow-mo of the ankle roll was just disgusting. I thought it was like a Dak Prescott situation, but they did x-rays. They're negative. They don't think he's going to be out long-term. In the short term, though, they called up top prospect C.J. Abrams. Interim manager Ryan Flaherty was being a little cryptic in his pregame interview, not really saying he thinks Randy's going to be fine, but there's not like a concrete timeline. It's not on the IL yet. But this is interesting now because the Padres have dipped below first place. They're now in second. I think they're a half game behind the Dodgers in the NL West. But, this just adds to the drama of what might be the most interesting division in baseball. Do you think the Padres can keep pace in the NL West without their MVP third baseman?
Oh man, it's tough without Toddy too there. Those are two superstars you're missing. Manny, I saw some stats. Manny's played more games or as many games as I think it's him and Goldschmidt over the past 4 or 5 years. Like that dude's in there every day grinding it out. So I don't it sounds like he's not going to go on the IL now, but that doesn't mean he's not going to miss 5 or 7 games. I can't imagine he's going to play today. Well, they're playing right now. I'm sure he's not playing, but I can't imagine he's going to play in the next few days. That looked bad. For a second, I thought it was his knee or something. But I don't know. Keep up the pace. They had a rough series in Colorado. Something about Colorado, man. The Padres don't play well there. Dodgers, and I know we'll talk about this in a minute. Mookie goes down too, so that might help a little bit. But the Dodgers, I think, top to bottom in that lineup right now have, can sustain that or weather that storm a little bit better than the Padres can. C.J. Abrams coming back up. Not great the first time around. Skipping AAA and everything like that, and he's a young kid, so totally understandable. But that's it's a lot of pressure to put on him, to expect him to fill in for Manny. I mean, come on, Manny. I think he's leading the league in WAR this year. I don't think he replaced Manny. That whole lineup's just going to have to step up and really, do a lot, honestly. So we'll see. The pitching, we'll talk about this too. Their starters, Joe Musgrove's been flat out phenomenal. Darvish has been phenomenal. I think he gave up a run in the first. I think I just saw right now. But the pitching's going to have to pick. The whole team's just going to have to pick up Manny for however long he's out. And, with him and Tatis out, that would be tough for any team for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's MVP frontrunner, Manny Machado. He was batting .328, 12 bombs, a 4 wins above replacement, which I think now it's like third in baseball, behind Tommy Edman and somebody else. But that's you can't hope to get that same kind of production of anybody else. But you're right. Everybody else kind of has to pick up the slack a little bit. Guys like Luke Voit, Profar. But what do you think the fact that they didn't put him on the IL immediately? What does that say about the fact that they think he can bounce back quicker than, I guess, the 10 days?
It's always a tricky situation when you have a guy like that get hurt, but not, just a broken ankle or something like that right away, because you don't want to miss a guy like Manny or Toddy for any more games than you absolutely need to. So they did it with Toddy last year too. Like it might have been 7 days, but you don't want to put him on the IL and cost those extra 3 games, because shit, the end of the year, you lose the Dodgers by 2 games. That could be the difference. So Manny, my guess would be they probably give it today, tomorrow, maybe another day, like, and just see how it's progressing. And if it's getting worse or staying the same, maybe they say, all right, we're going to shut you down for the next week and we'll retro it to yesterday or whatever day that was. But they're going to do everything they can to not put him on there. And Manny has a say in whatever they're going to do. Obviously, if you can't play, you can't play, but he's a tough dude, plays all the time. So if he can be out there, best believe he's going to be out there. Even if they can stick him at DH or something, that might be, an option for them now. And instead, obviously you'd miss his defense at third base, but probably rather have that bat in the lineup than nothing at all. So I think, and as far as the flash thing with the cryptic messages, that's coaches, they're obligated to talk about the injuries and stuff now, but I don't think any of them like doing that. Like they want, it's not the same as the NFL where like you don't want to tell because that's more physical, like if anybody's banged up or whatever, but you don't really want to talk about how your players are feeling at the end of the day.
It's funny. It's just like as soon as you said that, I'm like, well, I'm just glad it's not hockey, because that's so like upper or lower body. That just pisses me off in hockey, where it's like, all right, what's wrong with him? Well, it's a lower body day to day. It's like, aren't we all day to day if you think about it, at a deeper level? But yeah, that's such a great point though, because you're right. Like guys like Bryce Harper, like he I think it's like his UCL or something, like stick him at DH. Like guys like that, like you still get the bat in the lineup, and you take your chances with them running the bases. But yeah, they definitely want to keep him in the lineup as long as they can. But you touched on the Dodgers, and that was the other big injury that we had in baseball. So I think it was like last Wednesday, Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger smacked into each other in the outfield. And Mookie ended up, I think he broke a rib or fractured a rib, and he's just gonna be out for a couple weeks. They don't think it's gonna be that long, but I mean, first of all, like when they said after the collision, Bellinger and Betts, they're like, yeah, it was loud. People were cheering. We couldn't hear each other, like call each other off, and we just kind of ran into each other. Has that ever come close to something like that happening in your outfield playing days?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, it gets loud. There's no doubt about that. And you can be as loud as you want. And sometimes it doesn't matter. But I think you just you start to have a feel for what depending on how long you play with somebody, for what the other guy's going to do. But I mean, it can definitely happen. I've been lucky enough to not have it happen, but yeah, full speed running into somebody else like that is not fun. I think I'm sure they were too, man. It's sometimes that crowd it's just too loud. It's hard to tell what's going on. Especially I didn't see the play, but a lot of the times when a ball is just hit in the air and it's fairly deep, if it's a packed stadium, the crowd thinks it's a homer or something, and they get really loud right away, and shit happens. So hopefully Mookie's all right. That I think I saw cracked rib.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. Yeah, I don't know if that means fractured, whatever, but hopefully he's back soon. Great player, but they outfield collisions, gotta stay away from them for sure.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I never really thought about what the definition of cracked versus fractured versus broken is. Yeah, that's tough. But they did. The Dodgers made another move. They traded for Klay Thompson's brother again, Trace Thompson. So, shout out the Thompson family. What a run that family's been on, winning the NBA Finals. Trace is back with the Dodgers. So, Yeah, but do you think that kind of levels the playing field in terms of the NL West right now, where you have, the Padres lose a Manny, the Dodgers lose a Mookie, like in terms of the next week or so, do you think that kind of balances everything out?
No, I don't, because I think the Padres were already at a disadvantage without Toddy being there. The Dodgers have the rest of their lineup intact, so I think the Dodgers have the advantage now, especially the way Manny's played this year. But I mean, Mookie was on a tear for a while there too, so losing him definitely hurts. And I know some of the other Dodgers regulars haven't played to their normal standards up to this point, but I think advantage Dodgers right now for sure. And this week, for our Fudged Up Moment of the Week, presented to you by our sponsor, Fudge Kitchen, the original Fudge Kitchen. That is fudgekitchens.com with an S, fudgekitchens.com. They're shipping fudge and other sweet treats all over the country. Our Jersey Shore, Philly listeners, go check them out. They have stores in Wildwood, North Wildwood, Sea Isle, Stone Harbor, and Ocean City and Cape May. So if you get a chance, go check them out. They're phenomenal. I was actually on the Instagram page 2 nights ago, and I really wanted to order stuff like right now, but I don't think it would get to Japan. So the first thing I'm doing when I go back home is definitely getting some of that. It looks unreal. I gotta stop looking. Fudge Kitchens with an S, fudgekitchens.com. Jay, what do we got?
All right, so our Fudged Up Moment of the Week this week, it goes out to, so during Sunday Night Baseball, I love Sunday Night Baseball. We've talked about it a bunch, the mic'd up from last week. So it was the Astros and the White Sox, and the Astros rookie, JJ, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I think it's Matijevic. I apologize. So he hit his first career home run, Minute Maid, the Crawford boxes, and there was a 16-year-old kid named Rylan Freeman caught the ball. They cut it a little bit later. There's an Astros employee going over to the kid to try to talk to him, trying to figure out like what we can get to give him to get the ball back for our guy JJ. And then we learned what the deal was. So they cut him a deal for 6 Astros tickets, 6 BP passes, like field passes, and a Jose Altuve signed baseball. And we're like, okay, that's cool. And they send Buster Olney out there to talk to him. And the very first thing the kid said was like, yeah, I really wanted a Justin Verlander signed jersey, but they told me no. And then I'm just like, what? But there's more. He really wanted a Yuli Gurriel jersey after that. They also told him no. So they had to settle for a Jose Altuve baseball. Twitter's going a firestorm. They're roasting the Astros. Like, why can't you give the kid a jersey? Like, he caught the ball, give him what he wants. I fired off several tweets in the same sentiment. And then we learned a little bit while later that Verlander found out about it, probably through the TV. He signed a jersey for the kid. But the fact remains, for that like 20-minute stretch where we're just like, you couldn't give the kid a jersey. I mean, like, he caught the guy's home run ball. Like, it was just like the worst PR thing that could probably happen for the Astros outside of the cheating scandal. But like, it was just ridiculous. But we were talking about this earlier. Like, I think this kid might have hired Scott Boras in that interim to try to like work out that deal. He's a master negotiator.
Dude, listen. Is it hard to get an autograph? Like, I'm sure Verlander or Gurriel or Altuve would have signed something for the kid to, get Matijevic his homer. I believe that was his first hit as well, not just his first homer. But I'm sure they would have signed whatever to get him that ball, because that's a big deal. But I will say that kid is a master negotiator with those tactics, because six tickets, 6 BP pet, like all that. That's a lot of stuff for that home run ball. Like, it was JJ Matijevic's first hit in homer ball. It wasn't Barry Bonds' 500th homer or something like that. It was a guy's first hit / homer, which is big deal. But that ball's not worth, like, I don't know, however much money that is total. So good for the kid getting all that stuff. Good for him using his platform on ESPN to get some more leverage out of his negotiation position. But yeah, man, that's crazy. Just for reference, when my first homer in Seattle, the guy who caught it, I believe, I can't remember exactly, but I either signed him another ball and we traded, or it was like a ball and a bat that I signed and gave to him, and he gave me my ball back. So
that's a great point. I mean, yeah, it's just he used the power of, a live national broadcast and Buster only. And it was just like, when I first heard about it, it's just like, you can't, what's a jersey, $100? You can't do it. You can do $100 and a signature, run down, have JV sign it real quick. I mean, that was just ridiculous. So
I guess it's a little different too, because that was in Houston and he's an Astros fan. Mine was in Seattle. So who the hell cares about the Cincinnati Reds in Seattle? Probably not those guys who caught my ball, but good for the kid. Smart guy. Got a future in somebody, be an agent one day. And good for the Astros for getting it done. Congratulations, JJ. I had some conversations with him on first base in the minor leagues last year.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's goes to show you know a little bit of everybody around this league.
He's a fun fact for you. I believe he went to TCU for college, but he is from originally right outside of Pittsburgh. So that's how we got to talking. He was like, "You're a Pennsylvania guy?" I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, there you go.
A-okay in my book. And Eddie Yinzer's a friend of mine. I love that. So that was our Fudged Up Moment of the week. A couple really quick ones to finish up before we get to our interview for this week. We have the guest performance of the week, and that goes out to, once again, our guy, Java Joe Musgrove. 7 innings, 9 strikeout victory last week against the Cubs on the 16th. I looked, and MLB.com does I think it's like every couple weeks or so, a Cy Young poll among the writers. They had Java Joe in first place. They had 17 first place votes for him. So I think he might be on the COVID IL right now, but it's a strong season for Joe Musgrove.
I say this every week. He's just been flat out phenomenal. There's nothing else to say. He's dominating. Yeah, hopefully he's back out there soon. And yeah, man, he's just been great. No other way to put it. He's just been great.
I saw a tweet that should make my fellow Pirates fans a little aggravated. And they basically said all the pitchers that the Pirates have had that have gone on to have major success. Tyler Anderson is 8-0. Joe Musgrove's now 8-0. Jamison Tyon's 8-1, and Garrett Cole 6-0. So that's tough.
That's rough right there. But I'm going to throw this in here because I thought this was really cool. Father's Day was Sunday. As you said, the kid from the Pirates, man, Jack Sawinski, 3 homers, including a walk-off with his dad in the stands on Father's Day. Man, that is that's unbelievable. What a game, first of all, and to do, to have that on that day with his dad in the stands. Man, that's just really cool. So congratulations to him. I thought that was awesome when I saw it.
I think he was one of the guys that they traded for Frazier. Was he a Padres
for Frazier? Yep, he was a Padre. He was I think he was in Double-A or even like High A. But yeah, he's putting together a side. I know he's got I think those were 9, 10, and 11. I think he's got 11 homers now. But yeah, man, that's what a special moment that must have been, and just a little cool caveat I had to throw in there.
Love that. All right. We have one last thing for everybody. We're going to do our top 5 for this week. Before we do that, we have to clean up last week's top 5 for top 5 ballparks in baseball. As according to our Instagram stories poll, so head over to Breaking Bats Pod on Instagram each week to vote on this. Last week, Brian edged out myself 55% to 45%, although I would like a recount because I don't know if I trust some of that polling. So Brian took home the crown last week. Brian, how do you feel? I mean, the Petco Park love runs deep.
A lot of our fans are Petco Park people. However, I was not playing to the crowd. I was being honest. Petco Park is beautiful. I think you were just a little biased from 2 of your teams there in Baltimore and Pittsburgh. However, those are very nice parks as well. But I just have my finger on the pulse of the fans.
I took home the crown in our first one, our top 5 guys you like to have your back in a fight. So I have that one. So I guess we're gonna be tied 1-1. Like I said, head over to Breaking Bats Pod on Instagram whenever we post those. I'm gonna try to maybe top 5 Fridays. Maybe I'll do that as our day of the week for all of these. To vote on those. But we have one for this week. It is going to be the top 5 best baseball movies. I already know this one's going to become contentious on the internet because movies are very subjective, but these are my top 5 baseball movies. So here goes. I'm already not confident about how the results will turn out. 5 through 1. Number 5, I'm going to start us out with Little Big League. It doesn't get highly ranked in anybody else's top baseball movies, but I watched that movie. I think I broke the VCR watching that movie so many times. I think I broke the VHS tape. So Little Big League, he runs the Minnesota Twins. Number 4, The Benchwarmers. I can't. One of the funniest baseball movies of all time. It's just, I can quote the entire thing from top to bottom. Number 3, I'm going to stick in that same kind of genre. I'm going to go with Major League. Another fantastic, hilarious baseball movie, just a bit outside. I mean, there's 1,000 quotes from that. Number 2, it's going to be 42, the Jackie Robinson movie with Chadwick Boseman. I really love that. It's so cool, just the story and the way they shot it. And then number 1, the best baseball movie, according to Justin, is going to be Moneyball. Moneyball. This movie, it's fantastic. He gets on base. Scott Hatterberg, like the 0-2 A's, like it's the coolest baseball movie. And it's just, I can watch it 1,000 times when it comes on MLB Network. So that is my top 5. And Brian, I didn't give you enough time. I don't know. Did I give you enough time to prepare for this? What is your top 5?
Yeah, we're good. First of all, you got some good ones in there. 42, you can't go wrong there. I was trying to mix it up a little bit with mine. So we're going to start, and I can't believe you left one of these out, but it's my number 1 and it's my real number 1. But anyway, number 5, we're going to throw a little curveball in there. Hardball, old school. What a movie, man. The Cucumbas, great movie. Shout out to them. Sad movie too, but that's my number 5. Number 4, I don't know how many people have actually watched this. It's on Netflix. It's called Screwball, and it's about the steroids. You haven't seen that?
Never seen it.
That's your homework. That's your homework assignment for now, because you'll love it first. It's ends up mostly being about A-Rod, but it's about like Balco and that whole thing on the steroids then and everything that was going on in Miami and all the connections through there. Great one. Hilarious. The dude's a little weird, but good one. So those were 5 and 4. 3, Moneyball. It's interesting. The acting's great. You can't go wrong, but classic. Moneyball's good. Number 2, Major League. I mean, it has to be in there. You don't really have a choice. Like you said, you can quote that movie all day, every day. And then number 1, The Sandlot. It's gotta be The Sandlot. That I watched that movie so many times when I was a kid. Benny the Jet, Stealing Home, The Beast, Smalls, Lenny Peppercorn, all of it. It's the best. Got to have The Sandlot in there. That's it's just my childhood. So that's my top 5. I'm sure these are going to get shredded apart and we're going to get yelled at on TikTok and all of our other social media. But this is what we're going with.
I already can see it. Like, there's already like the classic ones. Like, how do you not have A League of Their Own in there? Like, or a Field of Dreams? Like, the problem with baseball. The problem with baseball movies is that they don't really make that many of them, and most of them I feel like were like in the 80s. And so like I miss that. And also like I like funny movies, and like Field of Dreams isn't really a comedy, so it's tough. So yeah, I already know movies are the most subjective thing. So please rip us to shreds on everything that we post this on. We'll take it. We'll take our comeuppance. But yeah, please let us know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I already know these comments. This is going to be rough. I'm self-conscious about this already. You're right, but we'll see what people say. And but for our interview today, we have Dietrich Enns, my teammate here in Japan, former major leaguer. I was with the Rays most recently last year. Was with me at the alt site there the year before. His wife, I went to high school with his wife. We have some weird connections. We talk about all that in there. Great guy, great pitcher. Originally debuted with the Minnesota Twins. And man, just a phenomenal story. Went to indie ball, worked his way back. Just a really good dude. Really got some nasty stuff. Doing really well over here. Has a showdown tomorrow with probably the most famous pitcher in Japan right now, Roki Sasaki. So that should be a good duel right there. And I know you enjoyed talking to him too.
He's the best. Yeah. It's just like guys like him that have had to work so hard to get they have to work so hard for every opportunity. And it's cool that he's having so much great success in Japan. So hopefully he does well enough to come back to the major leagues at some point. I think he's positioned himself well for that. So just a great guy and a great conversation.
Yeah, man. So we'll send that over to our interview with Seibu Lions pitcher, Dietrich Enns. And today on Breaking Bats for our interview, we have my teammate here in Japan, Dietrich Enns. D, really appreciate you coming on. I know you're a very busy guy here getting ready for your big start tomorrow. The showdown, actually, between you and Sasaki, right?
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited. Hopefully we can get a win tomorrow. And Sasaki he's a phenom. So it should be exciting. But I'm sure the stadium will be packed to see him pitch. Not really to see me, but it'll be a good time.
They'll be packed to see you too, man. Come on, you're gonna dominate. We already know that, but. We'll before we get into everything, we'll go to how we met first. Is usually how we
Sure.
start this, but me and you have an interesting one for sure. So, Dietrich married his wife Julianne. Went to high school with me actually. So she's a year younger than me. Dietrich's a year older than me, I believe, and
Yeah.
So I played with her brothers, Joe and John, in high school. And Dietrich met her playing in AA, which is Trenton, which is not far from where we grew up. And Dee was living there, right, in the off season? Or you were coming to visit?
I think at the time that we met, Julianne and I were still dating, and we met at an LA Fitness. I was working out with her and her brothers at an LA Fitness, and her brothers were like, "You got to meet Brian O'Grady. He's another professional baseball player as well." And I was thinking kind of in the future of if I end up, getting married and, living here, I'm going to need a place to train. So that's when we kind of started the conversation and just got to know each other a little bit. And it's kind of crazy how we've come full circle and now we're on the same team playing in Japan.
It is. And that, I don't even remember, did I tell you about PDS then? Is that how it happened? Or did you find them on your own?
No, that's when you told me about them, because I needed a place to go throw and work out in the off season when I was visiting Japan or visiting Julianne. And then we ended up, I ended up going there for the last few off seasons, and it's been awesome. The guys at PDS, Dan and Laser and Ches are all great. And they've really helped me, advance my career and, help me make improvements.
Yeah. Shout out to those guys, man. They're good dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I know I haven't been there anymore, but they definitely helped me out, and I had a good time there. And man, I'm glad it worked out for you. So yeah, Jay, I told him that. And so that's where he's been working out. So that's how we, originally met. And then kind of fast forward, that had to be, God, what year was that? 2018?
Yeah, that had to be in the off season of 2018, maybe 2017, 2018. Yeah,
maybe. Geez. But fast forward, I end up with the Rays. COVID stuff happens. Dietrich was in indie ball at that time.
Yep. I was playing in indie ball. I had started the year, before COVID with the Mariners in spring training, and then got released during the COVID purge and everything. And so I needed a place to play. So I went and played indie ball for the summer, and then got picked up by the Rays shortly after that. And that's when we met up again.
The purge, it's a good way to put it, the COVID purge. But
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're at the alternate site at the Rays, and somebody was like, yeah, we just signed another guy. It's coming, Dietrich Enns. I'm like, shut up. No way. There he goes. Dietrich's there. So, and I know we said this in one of the other podcasts, but when we were talking with Nate Lowe, JA, about the loaded alt site. Dietrich was a guy that I forgot that was right under my nose with me here in Japan. And we said it on the next podcast and I told him, but so he was there too, for the record. And then after that, I believe, did they sign you to a 1 year? Was that a 2-year deal, or you re-signed with them in the off season that year?
So it was a 2-year deal. So it was the remainder of the 2020 season, and then the following year, 2021. Yeah. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. So
good.
After that, Dietrich, we went all around that year, and the next year I signed with the Padres. Dietrich was still with the Rays. Made it back to the major leagues, and we're going to talk about all this, but yeah, made it back to the major leagues with the Rays. Had a nice season when he was there. Fast forward again, season ends. I see on, at this point, the Padres had DFA'd me, so I was a free agent and was in talks with our team here in Japan. And I believe I saw on Trade Rumors on Twitter, Rays release Dietrich Enns to pursue, opportunity in Asia or whatever. So right away I see it and I message him. I'm like, tell me you're going to Japan. Or I don't know. I said, like, where are you going or whatever? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm going to a team called the Seibu Lions. And I was like, shut the fuck up. So am I. And so we talked for a while about that. And, it was none of it was like official yet, but then they came out and said that they'd signed him first. And then a couple of days later it was official and they came out and said that they had signed me. So, we talked a lot in the off season, and now here we are playing together somehow again. And so that is our connection. It's been a wild ride, and yeah, we've been together in Japan now for this whole time, and we're on a little bit different schedules. Dietrich being a starting pitcher, that's they just do it a little differently here, so we don't spend as much time as probably we would in America together on the same team, but still see him a lot. And yeah, man, it's just kind of a crazy story how it's all worked out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Baseball is a funny game. It'll take you a lot of places, and you meet a lot of people, and running into you a few times throughout our careers is pretty cool, pretty special.
Yeah, and now on top of all that, Jay, they just bought a house right by where I grew up. So Dietrich lives 10 minutes from my parents, and I live 10 states away now. And but so now it's funny because we could talk about all the Bucks County things going on, and he gets it. So it's just it's funny stuff, man. It really is. But yeah, so enough of me blabbering. J.A., go ahead, hit him with the let's get the question started about his interesting real career, and not just about me and him.
Absolutely. I had a great time doing the research for this episode. I'm really excited to talk with you. So I was going back and I was looking, and you went to college at Central Michigan, Fire Up Chips. Like, going back all the way back then, like your numbers in college were fantastic. And even you carried that into the lower minors. Like, what do you think allowed you to have the kind of success you did going back to college and the early minors then?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me was I had really great coaches growing up, and, throughout high school and in college. And then just getting into the minor leagues with the Yankees, they had a great pitching coaches that I had, and just really, was every step and level up that I went. I felt like I, got better coaching, and just tried to learn as much as I could and continue to perform at the highest level that I could. So the biggest thing for me was just going out there every day and trying to put up zeros, and on that pursuit of making it to the major leagues. Because at that time, when you're 20, 21, 22 in college or in the lower levels, you feel like you're pretty far away from the big leagues. But in reality, you're a couple good months of just getting called up to AA, and then get a couple good months from there. You could be called up to the big leagues at any time. So that was always my end goal, was to try and just make it to the big leagues, and just going out there and trying to work every day.
Now, are you more of a velocity or a stuff guy? Because like I feel like it's hard to be both. And was there kind of a point in your early pitching development where you had to like make a decision on whether you're going to focus on training for velocity or movement?
Yeah, so my career has kind of spanned through the whole, started before the weighted ball era, and now we're kind of in that velocity era where throughout college and in the lower levels in the minor leagues and getting, even up until about 2019, I was more 90, 91, relied on my changeup and locating pitches. So that was kind of my bread and butter and what I tried to really focus on. And I was always working hard, in the weight room and in the off season to try and build velo, but I just felt like something wasn't clicking. And so then, fast forward a few years to about 2019 off season is when I started working on weighted balls. And that's when I went to like PDS and really started working on some mechanical things. And they've been so instrumental for me of, just finding that what I needed to build, a better mechanical and just get more efficient with my mechanics. So finding some flaws that I needed to fix and just going out there and then that really unlocked some velo for me. And so then all of a sudden I'm throwing 94, 95, 96, and then I'm in the big leagues last year, topping out at 97. And I just never thought that I could get there, but I knew I had it in me, but I just needed some of that unlock mechanically.
That's so interesting. You're right, because I feel like there is this kind of like massive shift in the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years in terms of velocity and the weighted ball. Like, were you watching other guys around you do that kind of stuff? And did you like kind of get envious in a sense of like, oh, if I do this, and this, I can throw 97?
Yeah, I tried to not compare myself to others, but at the same time, I looked at my arm speed and I was like, I felt like my arm speed was there. But I just couldn't figure out exactly why I wasn't able to throw as hard as some of the guys that were, upper 90s or even mid 90s at that time. Cause I was, anywhere from 89 to 92, 91. And so really just trying to break down the video. Like I said, the guys at PDS were really instrumental for me, just finding some flaws with, just better, hip shoulder separation, movement quality just improved. And that really unlocked something for me to just have my arm just be relaxed and free and, just be as efficient as I could mechanically.
I love that. All right. I have a really, really fun thing that I want to talk about because I saw that you played in the Cape Cod Baseball League way back when. And I love that league because I've seen the movie Summer Catch about 1,000 times. They just replay it on MLB Network a lot. And I've always wanted to ask somebody who's played in the Cape League about like what that experience was like. So like when you think back to that time in the summer on the Cape, like what kind of memories stand out for you?
Yeah, that was an amazing summer. Just going from a small school in Central Michigan, getting the opportunity to play in the Cape is special. Went there and played for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, and they were formerly the Mets. I think that might actually. Oh no, Chatham is from the movie Summer Catch, but yeah, it was awesome just to go in New England and spend the summer there. You have host families, and they show you around. And I lived about a 5-minute jog from the beach, so would just jog in the morning to the beach every morning with my roommate, and we would stay at the beach for a couple hours in the morning, and then I'd go to the field and play the games at night. And at that time, I was a reliever, so I would pitch, just out of the bullpen. And actually had a summer job where I would do the grounds crew for the field. So before the games, I would be, mowing the lawns and chalking the lines and doing the mound and everything. So like that. So that was pretty cool. One guy was the clubby, he did the laundry, and, I did the, just to make a little extra cash on the side. So it was pretty fun, and get to, explore the Cape on all days. There's so many places to go and so many really cool beaches, and the food is amazing there. So it was really a special summer.
That's awesome. Brian, did you ever have an opportunity, or like, was that ever like, a thought in the back of your mind, like you wanted to go play summer ball up there, or even just like seeing the movie Summer Catch?
Yeah, I always wanted to. I don't really know. I never got the opportunity to. I played in the NECBL, which is New England College Baseball League, all 3 years, which was great too. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't good enough, or we just didn't have good connections to get me there. I see a ton of Rutgers guys there now. So I think at the time, maybe we just didn't have the right connections. But Similar stuff, man. I loved my time there. I played in Vermont for 2 summers, and I played in Keene, New Hampshire for a summer, which was phenomenal too. And same when you're with college summer ball, man, it's a little bit of a grind when it comes to the grounds crew stuff, because we were pulling the tarp, man. When it rained in Vermont, I would get so mad because the tarp is so hard, and we'd be all out there trying to put the tarp down. Oh man, it's just a debacle. And they would text, they text people in like the morning to see who could come like pull the tarp off or like put it on or whatever at like 8:30 in the morning. And I just, didn't say it. Sorry, sleeping in. But yeah, man, the summer ball in college is a lot of fun. It's more laid back. It's still, really good competition but it's just a different experience than in season college ball.
What do you guys think is the biggest benefit to doing those kind of like extra, kind of off season baseball leagues, and even going into like the pros talking about like winter ball? Like, what do you think the biggest benefit to those kind of extra baseball things are?
Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, playing in the Cape, and then even the summer after my freshman year, I played in the Northwoods. So those 2 experiences for me were huge for me, just because with the Northwoods, it's more of like the minor league feel where you're playing every day, you're taking the bus trips, you're staying in hotels. So you kind of get your foot in the, you dip your toes in the water with like of how the minor leagues feel. And then with the Cape, for me, it was just being able to prove myself against the best competition in college. So knowing that I could go and compete against those guys, that's when I really felt like I could get drafted and play professionally. So that was huge for me.
Same thing for you, Brian?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's as a hitter, it's different because you go and it's wood bat. So you get to use the wood bats and you get to kind of just get more used to that. But it's definitely, I will say for me personally, like my summer after my freshman year, my coach in Vermont was the first person, honestly, who got me to understand timing in hitting. Like I just had like no concept of it for whatever reason. I was just a good athlete and kind of just like competing. But no matter what my coaches at Rutgers at the time were saying to me, it just wasn't computing like in my head. I had to like swing the bat faster somehow to hit dudes who were throwing harder until I got to Vermont my summer. And yeah, changed some things up and really started to take off from there. So it was huge for me. The competition, I mean, you're just playing against a lot of good players and there's scouts around and you're getting used to, the bus trips and I know the Northwoods is some serious travel. The Cape, I believe, is not too bad in terms of travel. I think all of them are pretty close to each other by our standards.
You take school buses. And we were in the middle in Hyannis, so the farthest bus ride we had was about 45 minutes one way or the other, but most of them are 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah. So in the New England League, we were going Vermont, a little bit out there too. I think Sanford, Maine was the closest one to us. And that was like, they were way out there compared to everybody else. But we would bus 2 games and then back after the game. Never stay unless we had some like back to back, maybe once or twice in the summer where they were far away from us, but close to each other. And we'd stay in a hotel. But, when we would go to Danbury, Connecticut, that was like 4 hours each way, 4 hours to the game, play the game, 4 hours back to Vermont. So that's it. I mean, that's rough. That is rough. I don't really know how we did that. I definitely couldn't do it now, but back then, yeah. So it gives you that taste of grinding through it but the people there love it too, man. That there's not too much else going on in those towns, so they love the baseball games and it is a lot of fun.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I for sure want to go up there and see some Cape Cod Summer League baseball at some point. Dietrich, though, going back to you for a second, like I looked and it seems like throughout the course of your career, you've always been super flexible in terms of like your role, like starter, reliever, whenever you need it. Like, how are you able to be that flexible in terms of like still being able to start when you have to, keep your arms stretched out? Like, how have you been able to do that so long?
Yeah, that's just something for me that I've always kind of had the knack for. I feel like at a young age, pitching was pitching, no matter if it was the first inning or the ninth inning. And you just get that experience the more you do it. So, in high school, I was primarily a starter, and then you get to college, and I was kind of like a little bit longer guy out of the bullpen for most of my college career, and then getting into pro ball, I started out as a reliever and then got bounced back to the starting rotation. So you just learn how to do both and what you need for each one. Whether that's the routine of a starter on a 5-day or 6-day rotation, or, in Japan, it's a 7-day. So you still have to learn, a little bit, just the routine of what you need each day. And as a reliever, you just got to be ready to go. So if you put too much importance on one out or one inning then, it'll be a little bit tougher. But for me, I just think pitching's pitching no matter when you're in there. So that's try and just keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to look at it. I mean, I know it's harder as a pitcher with the arm stuff. I don't know how you guys do it with how much you throw anyway, but I think having that flexibility, obviously, eventually, once you got to the Rays, definitely helped because their philosophies there. You were a perfect guy for that. But before we go there, you're with the Yankees and you're doing well. How'd you get to the Twins, first of all?
So it was the first year I got protected by the Yankees. I was on the roster, and then right after the All-Star break, I got traded at the deadline. 2017. It's just the Yankees was a tough team to crack into the big leagues at the time, and loaded with a lot of the guys that are still there today. And then I got traded and got an opportunity to pitch in the big leagues with the Twins shortly after I got traded.
Yeah, I think the Yankees are one of those teams that it's always hard to crack the big the big leagues with them, because they can have the ability to go by just about anybody they want. But so you get traded there and you get called up in August of 2017. Let's hear the call up story and what you remember about that day and how awesome it was.
Yeah, getting called up was I couldn't believe it. I had just gotten traded, so it was a little bit different. Like, I had just gotten traded to the Twins, so I didn't really know anybody in the big leagues or in AAA. I'm sitting inside doing the chart because I'm supposed to pitch the next day in AAA, and it's a day game. And the pitching coach comes and tells me in the 7th inning of that game, he's like, "You're done doing the chart. You're going to the big leagues." And I was like, "What? Like, are you serious?" Because he's always joking around. So I was like, "What?" Like, so I immediately just started calling everyone that I can, and it's a day game, so everyone's at work that I know, and nobody answers the phone. So I'm like calling everybody multiple times, pitching. So I had to get on a flight later that night, and it was in Milwaukee, so which was really cool because I grew up in Chicago area, so it was only 2 hours from home, and I had probably 30 or 40 people come to the game that day. The next day, I was starting, so I get to the park, and I don't really know anybody on the Twins, and I go into the manager's office. Paul Molitor was the manager at the time, and he's like, "Congratulations." He's like, "When's the last time you swung a bat?" And I was like, "Man, it's been about 10 years." Because I didn't hit in college. I didn't really hit much in high school. Like after my sophomore year, just was strictly a pitcher. So it had been a while. So, he's like, "All right, we'll probably just have you bunt, and if nobody's on, then you can swing away." So first at bat, struck out trying to bunt. And then second at bat, actually, got a fastball that I put a terrible swing on, but just beat an infield single out, and so I got a hit in my debut. That was probably the most memorable
Nice.
my debut, and just having all my family and friends there was really, really special.
That's phenomenal. A hit in your AL for your AL team in your big league debut. I love that. I seen him handle the bat this year too, JA. I'm pretty sure he got down a bunt in the interleague games. I could be wrong. I'm not sure, but we'll act like he did
No,
if he didn't. We'll just not tell him.
definitely did. Definitely didn't.
It was a good
90 miles
attempt.
an hour
Whatever. He
feels
looked
like 100.
he looked like he could get it done, man. We'll say that.
Well,
But
that.
well, go ahead, Jay. You take it now, man.
So after your first start, like what happened after that? Like I know you got a second one. Like, did you think like in the course of like your first one and going into your second one, like did you think that this was going to be a longer and extended stint, or like what was your mindset? Like how long potentially you could stay up there?
Yeah, so I thought I was, going to be, in the rotation for the rest of the year because it was mid-August. So get a kind of an extended look that they would, they had just traded for me. But we were short on pitching a couple days later, and they asked me if I could pitch out of the bullpen. And of course, I was like, yeah, of course. So then they're like, all right, we're going to use you in an emergency only situation. And then, planning for you to start in a couple days. I was like, okay. So then come out of the bullpen, then I have to pitch, and I hurt my shoulder in my second outing out of the bullpen, and had like a little impingement in my shoulder and a slight like tear in my rotator cuff, but I just rehabbed it, and so I was really trying to fight back, and that's the last thing you want is to get hurt on your second outing in the big leagues. And I wanted to prove to the Twins organization that I could pitch at the big leagues and be healthy, so I was really trying to fight back and rehab, but that kind of cut my season short. And then it was tough for me. And then it was just after that was just trying to fight to keep my shoulder healthy, and also to prove that I could pitch, get back to the big leagues.
Throughout the course of all that, did you make any kind of like mechanical adjustments to your windup? I think I read that you changed something pretty dramatically and it like improved your pitching, right?
Yeah, that's when after the 2019 season, I had a tough year in AAA in El Paso. As O'Grady knows, it's a good place to hit and not a good place to pitch. And so I really had some really tough starts there, and did some soul searching of trying to figure out what I needed to do to be successful again. Because I felt like, my stuff was, deteriorating a little bit. Like my velo was going down. I was getting hit around a little bit. So that was the off season where I worked on mechanically to get that efficiency and really just try and improve my hip shoulder separation, improve my arm speed, started with some weighted balls. And that's where the velo started to kind of creep back.
You mentioned something earlier about kind of how you and Brian had this like serendipitous kind of like running into again. Did you also have that kind of same thing with your buddy Lewis Head, your fellow, wasn't there like a story where it's like the Mariners were going down the list of people that they didn't want to bring back? And could you kind of tell that story of you guys' relationship and how that all kind of happened?
Yeah, so me and Lou kind of have similar journeys of being in the minor leagues for quite a while, and then kind of breaking through with the Rays last year. But we first met with the Mariners in 2020. We were both signed as minor league free agents, not to big league camp, but we were on like the early kind of spring camp for the minor leaguers, and we were backing up big league games as a lot of guys do. And we were catch partners at that spring training, and then COVID hits, and we kept in contact of how each other was doing and everything. And then when the Mariners started cutting guys at the end of May during COVID, I texted Lou and I was like, hey, I just got released, but we were both hoping we'd be on the 60-man roster for the summer. And I texted him, I was like, hey, I just got released, like best of luck to you and everything. And he's like, oh, they haven't called me yet, so maybe I got a shot still. And then 15 minutes later, sure enough, he texted me back and was like, hey, I just got released too. They must be going down the list of alphabetically that they're starting to release the older minor league guys and everything like that. So then fast forward to the off season of 2021, I was with the Rays after playing indie ball, and he gives me a text and he's like, hey man, just sign with the Rays, like see you in spring training. And I was like, oh, let's go. Like, that's awesome. And then sure enough, like he, kills it last year and has a great year. And then, I got to meet him back up in the big leagues later in the summer. So that was really cool to get to be teammates again and just kind of share a story together.
I love that. Yeah. Once I read that, I just thought that was such a really cool like moment. But like, you know, going back to like, you know, the indie ball situation and trying to figure out like where your life direction was going to head at that point. Like, you know, nobody really wants to think about the day that their career's over. But like, you know, when those thoughts did creep into your mind, like what was your kind of plan and how did you kind of navigate that whole mindset?
Yeah, COVID was hard for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, and I kind of took the mindset of once I got released, I still wanted to play, so I was still throwing every day, not knowing if there was a future ahead. You know, had some talks with my wife about, you know, should I go play indie ball? Should I just hang it up and start getting a job? So, you know, because you can't just think about yourself at that point. When you're married, you got to think about your, you know, your family and your future. So that we had some conversations, and you know, she was like, you know, we're good for the summer, and you know, you should go play indie ball. And so I was like very thankful that she had that attitude too, and because I wanted to keep playing, but I didn't really want to. But at the same time, I was willing to stop playing if, you know, we needed to, you know, support each other for the future. But, you know, went to indie ball and, you know, had a good summer, good couple weeks there. And, you know, really that's when the Rays saw me in indie ball, and then the rest is history with the Rays. So that was really awesome.
That's Julianne. Thank you for that. Otherwise, we'd be
yeah, absolutely
be alone here over here in Japan now. Yeah, I'd say that was a good decision. But that's such a good point, man, because because, you know, it's not just about you, but obviously that was the right decision, and you're doing great and supporting each other now. So that's phenomenal. That was a cool story about you and Lewis Head. I didn't know that either. That's a good one. But so you get to the Rays. What was your you get to the alternate site. What was your first, you know, thoughts about being there? Were you just happy to be back there, or you were like, this is kind of fucking crazy?
Yeah, I was super pumped because coming from indie ball, like anything's better than, you know, than that. So like I was like probably a breath of fresh air for a lot of guys, because, you know, they had, you know, like you and some other guys were probably like, you know, the dog days of August in Port Charlotte is probably not the best place to be. So I come in there and I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. Like, I think the first outing I had, I got a 115-mile-an-hour line drive off the leg from Josh Lowe. So, you know, so that was like that was like a welcome to the alt site moment. And, but no, it was a loaded alt site group with the Rays. Just seeing the amount of talent that was there was unbelievable. And I was like, man, if I could pitch against these guys, I can surely pitch the big leagues. Like, these guys are insane. Like, and so it was just great to come into an organization that that knows what they're doing, and you know, has a plan for everybody. And it's, you know, but it's a very like simplified approach, and really just kind of puts you on the right track to have success. So couldn't have been happier to join the Rays that summer, and really just kind of be with them for the couple of years that I was.
What was the biggest thing being with the Rays that they taught you from a pitching standpoint? Because we had PD on here, Fairbanks, and he kind of gave us his little thing. And obviously the reputation the Rays have in terms of pitching and finding guys who, like, basically nobody knows, and they put him out there and they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Because he's nasty. What do you think they gave you that helped you the most in your time there?
I think the biggest thing for me was just giving me the confidence that I could go out there and do it, just as long as I'm, you know, throwing strikes. You know, when I fall behind or I'm walking guys or things like that, that's, you know, and any pitcher can say this, well, you know, they're not going to have as much success, but they have a great way of just simplifying it for the pitchers out there, and, you know, to trust your stuff and just go at the hitters with your best stuff and attack hitters. And I continue to have that mindset each and every time out. I feel like I've had a lot of success doing that. So that's something that I can thank the Rays and, you know, thank the coaching staff there. They have a great group of coaches there.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked all about that 2020 Rays alternate site and just like how loaded that roster was. Did you feel like pitching to those guys for the brief time that you did back in 2020? Did you feel like that kind of gave you a leg up in terms of, like, you know, I practice against these awesome guys, and were you able to like carry that into the next season?
Yeah, absolutely. Because going into spring training the following year is the same group of guys that was there the previous year. So, we were kind of in it together. And then I started the year out in Durham, and that team was loaded as well. We ended up winning the AAA national championship last year, and you could just see, the team, like, from the previous year that went to the World Series in 2020. They brought back a lot of the same guys, and in AAA, and I think down the minor leagues, almost every affiliate won their league, won the championship, and then the Rays won 100 games. So it was just a loaded roster, a loaded minor league system, and you see guys getting called up all the time and just have immediate success. So I felt like I could be one of those guys too. And then getting the opportunity to go up there, they do a great job in the big leagues. Kiermaier, he's a great leader in the clubhouse, and makes you feel welcome. You're not walking on eggshells around in the big league clubhouse. Like, everybody feels like is telling you that you belong up here, and so it gives you the freedom and the confidence to have success. So it's really a great organization and clubhouse group of guys. So I couldn't be more thankful.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember your time last year on the Rays. You had so many great outings. I remember you had a great one against the Orioles. Is there like one outing that kind of stands out above the rest from 2021 with them?
I think the coolest one I had was my first win in Detroit. Is kind of just a really, really cool to pitch there because we played there in college. We played against Michigan State. So getting this to go back to Michigan, but also just because my parents were there. There's been so many games and road trips where they've come, and I was pitching out of the bullpen, so they'd come for 3 days, and I'd pitch the day before they get there, and then not pitch for the 3 days. So like, they've been to so many trips where they didn't even get to see me play. They just stay in a hotel and kind of just explore some random city. So to get my first win with them in attendance, and then they got to come on the field and take a picture and everything like that, was just really cool. And Detroit is about 4 hours from Chicago, so they just were happy to make the drive. So that was really cool. And I mean, just every day you're in the big leagues is a gift. So it was really special to be in the big leagues. So it was really, really cool.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, you had a fantastic 2021. Take me into those conversations after the season ended. So like, did Tampa show any interest in having you come back for another season? And when did the possibility of coming to Asia really come into play?
Yeah, there was talks actually in the middle of the season when I was in AAA that, there was some interest there, either Japan or Korea. So that was kind of when it started in the back of my head. But then finishing the year out in Tampa, was obviously, wanted to stick with Tampa, with that group of guys, and, they had a bunch of injuries. So they weren't, there was no guarantee that I would be back with them. So that's when Japan came in the picture, and it was an opportunity, and, it was one that I was interested in going to Japan and really wanted to have that opportunity and take full advantage of it. So that's when we decided that would probably be the best for the following season.
I love that. I mean, what did you know about like playing in Japan before you actually went over there? And I'll ask the same question to Brian. Like, did you know like guys who had gone over there in the past, or like what was kind of like your impressions before you actually went over there?
I had a few previous teammates that had played in Japan, and some had success, some hadn't. And, I tried to rely on those guys and ask as many questions as I could to get the kind of a clear picture of what it was like over there. And some guys had played over there pre-COVID and during COVID. So really tried to weigh the pros and cons of everything. And, ultimately thought it was the best decision for me and my wife to go over there in Japan and play. And it's been great. It's been, what I've expected from the baseball aspect, and we're getting to live near Tokyo. It's been really cool.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Just talk to everybody, but I think it's just there's just the whole view of baseball, especially in Japan, but in Korea too. Like, it's just changed in recent years. Guys who have come over here and had success and have gone back to the major leagues and had success have kind of like bridged that gap that people thought there used to be. between United States and baseball here. And now, like, Dietrich will tell you this too, like, especially from a pitching standpoint, some of these guys I see here, I'm like these guys are fucking nasty. Like they're really good. There's a lot of really good pitchers here, and there's some really good hitters too. But I think, especially from a pitching perspective, like you're facing guys with serious stuff like Dietrich and like the Japanese guys over here. And it's so, as a hitter, man, it's the style is different, but I think it's making me better overall because of the different things I'm exposed to here. But Dietrich and Julian has been here for most of the time with him. They're a little more adventurous than I've been. He's gone out and seen a bunch of stuff, and they've done the touristy things and things like that. And he's got a little more time on his hands than I do, being a position player. But they've been taking full advantage of all that, which I probably should do a little bit more. But yeah, man, it's been everything that I think we've both expected so far.
Yeah, I mean, Brian talked a little bit about like the differences, like coming over as a hitter, like as a pitcher, like what have you noticed, like stylistically wise, between guys hitting in the MLB and guys hitting the NPB?
Yeah, definitely. I get it's the guys in the big leagues, they have some power, and there's definitely guys in the NPB that have power, but it's a lot more with the fundamentals of moving runners and, building up the pitch count and, battling and, not trying to strike out. You can get your strikeouts if you get ahead, but really if you make good pitches, you can get these guys out quicker by having them put the ball in play. So, but these guys are tough at bat, so they'll make you work if you don't have your stuff that day. So it really helps you focus. And like Brian said, I think it's making me a better, well-rounded pitcher on, being able to rely on, not just, blowing a fastball by a guy, but, trying to throw your off speed for strikes and, throw it in fastball counts and just make the ball move and go different directions. So I think that's been the biggest thing for me, is just trying to learn the hitters as well as I can, and just trying to execute as well as I can. And for sure.
Brian's talked about, like, in the past, like how like the practice schedule is a lot different playing over there. Like, have you noticed that same thing as a pitcher? Like, what can you tell me about like the preparation differences between the both leagues?
Yeah, so the biggest difference I think as a starting pitcher is you pitch once a week. I've been pitching on Sundays, but now I'm pitching on Wednesdays. So, so your routine changes in that sense, that you're throwing once every 7 instead of once every 5. So you give a little bit more rest. And as a starting pitcher, 2 days after you pitch, you're just off, no matter if the team has a game or not. So that's been kind of cool and kind of nice to be able to like do some exploring on those off days. And then really just trying to find when to work out, when to throw your bullpen, when you feel good, you have more days in between to really push it. So that's been really nice. And the recovery aspect has been really, really good too. And another difference is, as a starting pitcher, if we're not pitching in a road series, we don't travel on the road with the team. So there's a lot less traveling going on than in the MLB, where, you're traveling on the road trip and you're with the team in the dugout. Whereas as starting pitchers, you're not in the dugout that day. If you're not pitching, you're only in the dugout the days that you're pitching. So I don't really see Brian as much as like we would if we were playing together in the States. So the day when we don't travel, we just go and practice with the minor league team, which is next door, and practice in the mornings with them and kind of keep, so we're on our same routine.
Hey, that's the once a week thing's crazy. I mean, Brian, what can you say about like trying to, maintain a long-standing friendship with a guy you can barely see?
Dude, it really is. It's crazy. I did not think it would be that way. And it's funny because I think most of my home runs have come when Dietrich is pitching somehow. So maybe if he's in the dugout a little bit more, I'd have some more home runs. But it is nice when he pitches to, I talk to all the position players as much as I can. Like, I'm friends with all of them and I like all of them, but it's not, I can't just have a normal conversation with them without my translator in between us saying stuff, So it is nice when Dietrich's there, and now Jansen Whitty, our other American position player, is back from being hurt and rehabbing in the minor league. He just came back the last game. So it's nice to have that guy there to just talk like little stuff, you forget how nice it is to be able to just normally communicate with somebody and not have to worry about any of that. So it's definitely been weird to see the schedule that Dietrich is on, because it's so different. And I know it's cool for him on one hand, and I'm sure at the same time it's a little weird because he's not in the dugout for every game, and that's something you're just so used to as an American baseball player, is being there and supporting your team and whatever. But I know they stay and watch a couple innings and things like that. But it's good for him too, because his wife is here and they can spend time together and do other things too that aren't just him at the baseball field. So I know it's a good thing for him too. So I'm happy for him, even though I'm out there grinding every day. I'm happy he gets his nice rest.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely been different not being in the dugout for 9 innings every day and being at the field for 12 hours a day like you're used to. But getting, it is nice getting to spend some time with Julianne away from the field and, still watching, keeping track of the guys every day.
So, I mean, like that has to be like cool and like comforting though, to have like guys like Brian and Jansen and other guys from America come over. Have you found that like, it's been like a nice like change of pace to have, a guy you can have a full conversation with and just kind of experience the same things you're going through together?
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's going out to eat with the guys or, just talking to them in the locker room or in the dugout, it's been great. Just like, any other teammate relationship, just getting to know them. And, with the Japanese guys, there's a few guys that speak, really good English. And, so I'm trying to learn as much Japanese as I can on the side too. And so I can communicate with them because, they're going through the same stuff we are. And, they're great guys. So just getting to know them, makes life easier at the field. And, the communication can only help with the performance on the field. I think whether it's as a pitcher catcher relationship or, pitcher with the infielders, or is O'Grady with the other outfielders too and stuff like that. So I think it's been a smooth transition, and, our translators are great for helping us out with knowing what's going on, whether it's the schedule, the routine of things, or just where we need to be when we need to be there. And, or just, having a conversation with a teammate that doesn't speak English, it makes it really, really easy and seamless.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. I don't want to act like our Japanese teammates aren't great to talk to or anything like that. That's not what I was saying at all. They've been nothing but helpful. Yeah. Our translators are amazing. Honestly, without them, man, Machi is Dietrich's and helps me too. Kobe is more my guy, but without them, they're amazing. They really are. They're so good at their jobs, and they help us with literally anything. So I'm very thankful for those guys. I know Dietrich and everybody is very thankful for those guys. But it's different when it's funny too for me, because obviously, like we said, Dietrich, I've known him for a little while, and Jansen, I've known Jansen for a little while too, just from playing against them. So it's funny when you've known somebody for a couple of years and you can talk to them about whatever. So that part is good too. But yeah, overall, man, it's been a lot of fun. It's a grind for sure, and I've been frustrated as hell some of these times, and I'm sure Dietrich has too. But I know we're both enjoying it, and yeah, man. But we'll get close to wrapping it up here. I know all JA has left is his standard rapid fire questions for you, and then we'll let you get out of here and get ready for the big day.
Yeah, absolutely. So playing in the minor leagues, like Brian and I have talked about this, there's always these great like promotions. Like Robinson Cano just had to do like SpongeBob Jersey Day. Like, is there like a favorite and a least favorite minor league promotion that you remember being a part of?
I think my favorite was the El Paso Margaritas. They would we wore these like all yellow uniforms that were hideous, but they were hilarious. And but after the games, they'd give us margaritas in the clubhouse, so it was pretty cool. So that was a really cool promotion. And least favorite, I don't know if I have a least favorite. I know I played for Rochester, and they were the garbage plates, and that was, famous in Rochester. I never had a garbage plate, but it looks like an interesting meal. But we would wear the garbage plate uniforms.
I'll have to look that up. That sounds fantastic.
Garbage plate. Wow.
Real quick, Brian, does anything like where we're talking about like old minor league, like, promotions, does anything stand out for you?
I'm pretty sure I was talking shit on the margarita jerseys like last episode on here, but that was more because they are outrageous. The highlighter, but you know what? My real problem with those jerseys was not the jerseys, was the pants, because you had to wear their highlighter pants. So like most of the time in minor leagues now, guys take their, the Majestic brand major league pants and either like cut the piping off them or whatever and bring them to the minor league affiliate. So that's what we had in El Paso, unless we were wearing the margarita jerseys, which the pants were Wilson, which just, they're not as like stretched. They're just not as comfortable as the Majestic pants. So that my real complaint was that I had to wear my pants down and they were pretty tight. And I felt like I had restricted movement there with the margarita jerseys. But
gotta have the right pants.
I will say, gotta have the right pants. The tough days of promotions in the minor leagues are the like random middle of summer 11 a.m. kids days where it's just like 8,000 kids from summer camps in the area and they're playing like the SpongeBob theme song every inning, and it's just like a lot of screaming going on, a lot of II captains, and it's just really hot, and it's just a tough morning. I'm gotta be honest about it.
I think I have about a 12 ERA during those 11 a.m. games, so I'm not a fan of those.
Oh, that's great.
It's fantastic. So I think I read like during 2020, like, did you re-enroll in college classes to try to get your degree? And if so, are you able to finish your degree?
Yeah. So Northeastern University has a great partnership with MLB, players and former players. So they take your credits from whatever college you went to, and you can finish online, and they kind of plug you into a major that's similar to what you had. And so during 2020, during COVID, I had all this free time. So I started going back to school and actually just graduated this May. So, just kind of started chipping away each semester and got, 6 credits or 9 credits every semester, and just try to do it in bunches that was manageable during the season and in the off season. So actually just finished, and I'm happy to be done, and very thankful for Northeastern for this program, because it's a great program for a lot of guys. And I know some former teammates of mine that are in the same program as me, going through their schooling. So at the time too, I think they were like one of the only schools that did like online. And now I think with COVID, a lot of universities have started to adapt with the times and started offering more online classes. But I would have at the time finished with Central Michigan, but it was just, they didn't offer a great online program at the time. So Northeastern was just a better option for me.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, congratulations on that, by the way. That's really, really cool.
Thank you.
What is your like dream job post-playing career that you'd love to use that degree you used or obtained?
Yeah, so my degree was business management. So learned a lot of like leadership and management skills, and did dealing with marketing and finance too. So that was definitely something I'm interested. But growing up, I always wanted a job in baseball, whether it was in front office, but now being a player, for this many years, I feel like that helps definitely with the background of going in the front office. It still interests me, but still trying to play baseball as long as I can, and but a front office job would definitely be something that I'd be interested in the future.
Gosh, that'd be amazing. So like Brian and I were just talking about like saving pieces of memorabilia. Like we just talked about the rookie from the Astros. He got his first home run ball back. Like, do you have like a couple of your favorite pieces of memorabilia from your playing career?
I have a few that are, in my parents' basement somewhere, whether it's, but one cool thing that I saved was my major league debut jersey. Got that framed and, gave it to my parents as, kind of like a thank you for helping me, get to this moment. They've supported me, my whole life, and, whether it's, booking me flights or, hotels and taking me all these places. So, they've always supported me in playing. So that's probably one piece of memorabilia that is really special.
I love that. So, I mean, we've had Justin Sue on this podcast before, and going back to your days in Tampa, was there just like an interaction or a conversation that you guys have had that's like still sticks with you?
Yeah, I mean, he's everywhere on the field. Like whether it's during BP, you can just grab him and have a conversation, or you're sitting in the cafeteria and he's just asking you what's going on. And man, he's the best. Just talking to him, he gives you so much confidence, like with what you're doing, and it's definitely part of the Rays model that everyone's there to like help you succeed at your job and be the best that you can be. And he's one of those guys that you always feel better about yourself and what's going on in the day-to-day grind of the baseball season. So he's been great to talk to whenever you need him. He's always there for you.
I love that. All right, I just have two more quick ones. Throughout the course of your career, is there one hitter that you've always had his number? Like that doesn't matter the situation, the inning, doesn't matter. Like, is there a guy that you've owned throughout the course of your career?
Man, I don't know. I can't. I don't know if I have the memory for one guy in particular. But I'll tell you what, there's a guy here in Japan that I just can't seem to get out. And, he's a tough hitter. So, hopefully I'll figure it out eventually, because I'm sure I'll have probably 3 or 4 more starts against some of them. So, but the last year, the Red Sox what's that?
Is that from Oryx? What's his name? Is that who you're talking about?
Yoshida. Yoshida.
Yoshida.
Yeah, he's a tough out. He's this lefty that's got some pop, and he doesn't swing and miss very much. And even if you throw a good pitch, he's getting the bat on the ball. So he's a tough hitter. There's not too many guys that I know that I can think of that I just have had success over and over and over again, because I'm always facing different hitters. So there's not too many that stand out.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, this is my last one for you. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice that I've ever received would probably be, just be yourself and have fun out there. The more you can have fun in this game, I feel like the more confidence you'll have. So really just going out there and enjoying the game and realizing that it's a game, it takes a lot of the stress and the pressure off, and you can just, go out there and have as much fun as possible. And obviously you want to have the results and the success. But I think that comes from, having fun and being, just getting the most out of your abilities.
I love that. All right. That is all I had.
No doubt, man. Dietrich, thank you so much for doing this, man. I know you got a busy schedule this week, getting ready for your day of the week tomorrow. Man, it's been a blast. Your story's great. Our little connection's great. And now here we are. So I know people are going to enjoy this, and just thank you for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you guys having me on. This is fun.
Absolutely.